I might need to like find an Airbnb or something, or like end up staying in a hotel for at least a night or two. So I'm really worried about that. Mental health update. So, after I filmed my last video where I read this book, remember how I said, I know that it's painful for me to read this, but it's the most important thing for me to do right now to learn about myself and get better? Yeah, after rewatching that video of myself and seeing myself that way, I've realized a lot. If you watched that video, you can see how much pain I'm in. And I know it's disconcerting, especially if you don't understand CPTSD. I am not like that all the time. And what it made me realize is two major things. So I started to dissect why I was reacting so strongly to certain things. And obviously, certain things I was reading are triggering to certain memories that I specifically have that still affect me so much, right? But the big reason that I was reacting so strongly and had so much emotions is because a lot of the things I was reading were helping me realize that... Okay, so I'm going to start with the first major realization I had. Me living here has put me in such a state of hypertension and hyper-awareness that I have not been able to function properly. No matter how hard I have tried, I am terrified living where I live. If you didn't know about my neighbor situation, I've been making random videos about it for some weird reason as like a last resort to try to like not be so alone in this situation, because it's been hell and I have not known how to speak up for myself or stand up for myself or do any of the right things that I should have done that possibly would have gotten me out of this harassing neighbor situation sooner. I was so incapacitated from panic attacks because of the situation that I let myself go deeper into depression and sink farther into my little hermit crab shell and feel worse and worse about myself. One thing about PTSD is if you are still in an environment that is triggering to you, or that people are toxic, people don't care that you're noise sensitive, or they don't care about your healing and they continue to verbally abuse you or abuse in any way, it seems and is nearly impossible to start healing and get better and even work on your PTSD symptoms, because eventually you can't even think. That's one thing I read in my last video where I read this book, is PTSD literally affects the brain's ability to think. And I realized I have not been able to do anything here. It's gotten so bad, you guys. Oh my gosh. I will make a full video about all of this, but I don't want to go into too much detail right now. But right now I'm sleeping on my couch to try to avoid my neighbor's noise in my room. At night, they won't let me sleep. So I've been sleeping on my couch. My body is slowly breaking. And anyway, the second realization that I had was all of what I just said accumulated into me basically being in such a bad state that when I met somebody that I was super happy talking to, and this person makes me extremely happy, what did I do? I basically almost ruined it because of my horribly, horribly defensive state that I'm in all the time. And I didn't even realize how bad this state is that I'm in until, like, honestly, very recently I realized it, because I'm trying so hard to fight now, and I'm trying to, like, have my voice heard, and, like, I shouldn't have to move. The situation is not right. It's so wrong in so many ways, and I have so much proof against these people, so it doesn't make sense that I should have to move out of fear. So I slowly have been realizing this, but what really made me realize it was rewatching myself in my last video. I want to come to a conclusion to this that is positive, because I have. So, two conclusions to the two issues that I realize that I'm having. So I keep forgetting what I'm gonna say. Hold on, gosh. So one major solution is I've decided to move. I am not okay here, even though I live so close to my work and I don't have a car. This is the most convenient place I've ever been in my life as opposed to where I work. But I need to let that go. It's almost too convenient to be true. Nobody should have this easy access to their work as I do. So it's okay for me to let that go. I shouldn't have held on to it for this long because it's been detrimental to my own mental health. So I wish I would have just gotten out of here sooner instead of thinking I could fight it, because there's no getting through to these people and my landlords aren't being a help. So that is the first solution I've come up with. Expect some moving vlogs. I'm gonna, for the first time, do that, I think, because I am in the mindset to make videos. I may not be in the mindset to be able to live in this place anymore, but I am slowly getting better despite that, and I want to continue to get better, and I think the only way I can is to not be around people who terrify me anymore and who have purposefully scared me and triggered me for a year. I can't stress enough. I asked this guy to stop stomping outside of my door because it triggered me really badly every day. And I said it in the most kind way, mind you. I have text proof of all of this. That's why I say I'll make a whole video, because there's so much details. But his response was to deny that he stomps his shoes, call me names, and say that I was rude, when in the text you can clearly see that I was not rude. I was very nice. And we were friends, so there shouldn't have been a problem. But then guess what he started to do? Instead of stopping his stomping, he went around our entire unit, outside of all of my windows, stomping his shoes as hard as he could, like a 90s step dancer, okay? Tell me how that is okay. Tell me how that is okay. And his excuse was always that he was getting the snow off of his shoes. Okay, so tell me why now, when he yelled at me last month, that now he's saying he was stomping because he was cold. It literally makes no sense. Tell me if you have ever, in your right mind, been so cold that you're shivering that your instinct is to stomp your feet as hard as you can as you're walking back into your place. It makes no sense. There's no reason for him to even have had to go around the whole unit. Mind you, he did this every day, multiple times a day, for over a year to me. And I had debilitating panic attacks. So there's no getting through to these people. They continued to harass me after that and continued to do it and did it even more intensely, like it was a joke, which is disgusting and made me feel so sick about myself that I was suicidal again. And these people continued. I have felt like a prisoner in my own house. Like I can't go onto my porch. I can't even walk around without tiptoeing, because if I walk like I normally do, this guy says that I am stomping, and he has now called the cops on me twice. Okay, another video will be coming out about that. I'll shut up because I don't even like talking about this anymore. I just want the situation to end. So the second solution I came up with, not just naturally, which thank goodness. Something that I learned during my first ketamine treatment. If you didn't know, ketamine therapy treatments are being used now to treat severe PTSD and CPTSD, as well as other things like OCD and other mental illnesses. It's really interesting once you start looking into it. But I've looked into other forms of therapy. This was the best one that I thought suit me the most based on my condition and my traumas and what I'm comfortable with. And I'm working with a spiritual healer, and it's been the most significant healing I have ever felt in my entire life. And the ketamine seriously puts you through your own process of realizations and helps you heal. It not only helps rewire the things in your brain that were basically broken by your traumas, but it also helps you just have a lot of different reconnections and realizations that you've needed to have in order to start your healing processes. So, during my first ketamine experience, one of the things that really improved my mental state right off the bat when I first started was, so what you have is kind of like psychedelic visions, but it's like really like natural, and like you're connecting to the universe. It's not like you're hallucinating. It's like you close your eyes and you're seeing like possible visual hallucinations, but the way that I interpret it is like a lot of it is what you're meant to see and feel and think. And if you've ever heard of the Akashic Records, weirdly enough, I think I saw those when I had my experience. Don't know if you want me to go into that further, but I definitely am going to come out with a series about each of my experiences to explain in detail what I realized during each one and how I have improved each trauma since. I've only done 5 experiences, and I'm not sure I want to start the series even until I'm finished fully, because it's such deep personal things and not necessarily things I'm ready to share, I think. But they're very interesting. So after I saw the Akashic Records, I had this very sure thought, this very telling, almost the universe was telling me, but also myself was telling me. And this is the solution that I need to continue to remember in order to continue to have strength and get through this situation and become the best version of myself, especially through these hard times, is. This is going to sound very strange to a lot of people, and I understand that. I'm a spiritual person, okay? I don't connect with religion. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but yes, I believe in the universe and nature and everybody be connected by energy and things like that. I do not believe that a human being can be resurrected, or that a woman can have a baby without sexual reproduction happening. So religion isn't something you're going to get me to listen to. I'm sorry. It just comes off incredibly uneducated to me. So please don't go into religion in the comments. If you do, it's not going to get you anywhere with me, because I am deeply spiritual. I became that way because of my traumas at a very young age, because it was what I had to do in order to survive. So anyway, this very weird thing that might sound weird to a lot of people is what I realized during my first ketamine treatment. And I'm not saying that I fully believe this, because there's a lot to get into with whether or not I fully believe it. But I'm pretty sure I do. Instinctively, I do. I have lived many lives, and this is not the hardest one. I have been through a lot more than this. This is just a tiny little needle speck of time that my soul is going through. And so connecting that, first of all, that really put things into perspective for me, because I've always felt that way. I've always had this all-knowing, weird, ancient soul that I felt like I've always lived. I guess it's like old soul syndrome. But I felt like I've always lived. I've always been learning and doing and being and searching and loving. I've always been existing, and I've always, so that's been really helpful, because this little life, this tiny little bad childhood that Raven had, yes, it's terrible. Yes, it affects me greatly. But if I'm able to separate myself from that and say, hey, I am a spiritual powerhouse. I have lived through so much more than this. I can get through this, and I will. That is something that is so powerful and so helpful for me to remember. So to connect this to one more little thing I learned recently, just in a YouTube thumbnail. I didn't click on the video because it's often hard to watch more things about PTSD and learn more about it. It's a weird, fickle thing. When you're not in the right mind frame, you don't want to watch more about it. But the thumbnail itself was a quote that helped me so much lately. So it's a quote for CPTSD. Until you make the subconscious conscious, you will not get better, or something like that. You will not improve. I can't remember, but the first part, until you make the subconscious conscious, you won't be able to heal. That's been something that's been helpful to me, especially because the only way to stop your panic attacks, and not necessarily stop them, but to start getting better about your panic attacks and your triggers and all of those things, is to become aware of them and be conscious of them as it's happening, to dissect yourself, to question your thoughts, to stop your thoughts and to say, hey, no, 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 you don't talk badly to yourself, things like that. To be able to dissect your own self instead of just being subconsciously horribly depressed and horribly anxious all the time. The first thing that ever started helping me was to start dissecting my thoughts. You hear it from everywhere, and a lot of people say it. To change the way you think about yourself, especially. Don't think about yourself too negatively. It's so important. And it's so important too with mental illness and when you're thinking all of these bad things. You have to make it conscious. You have to realize you're saying all these bad things to yourself or you're feeling all of these things to yourself. You have to stop, question yourself, and like redirect your thoughts, redirect your emotions, redirect and say, hey, another thing that's helped me is I don't identify with this emotion. So like this horrible heartbreak that I'm feeling for like almost messing things up with this guy, I don't identify with that feeling. It is not a heartbreak. It was like a sad situation, but there is healing that can come from that, and we can come together again one day. Like it's not everything is black and white thinking. Not everything is the end of the world. And being able to reassure myself of that has been really helpful, and to also connect it to the fact that I am timeless. I am a spiritual powerhouse, and I need to continue to remind myself of that and not identify so much with my emotions, because that's making it so much harder on myself. And it's not me saying that you shouldn't allow yourself to feel your emotions, because thank goodness I have learned from the way I've been feeling. That's the biggest point I'm making here. Yes, feel the way you are feeling. Allow yourself to feel those feelings. Dissect those things. Learn from them, grow from them. And that's what I've been doing. And I literally have an appointment tomorrow morning to go look at a place. Tomorrow afternoon to go look at a little place that's a month-to-month lease, cheaper than the one I live at now, where I can at least sit and relax for a while I'm looking for a new place and not feel so in danger and so like I'm just a ball of stress all the time, even when I'm at work. Like I feel bad because I don't want to talk to anybody, and I'm at work. I have to talk to people. So yeah, I just can't wait to not be so irritable and start getting a lot more healthy again. Like you can see in videos of me from right before these people moved in, I was progressing so well. I was so happy. I was dancing like crazy. I was singing like crazy. I was so comfortable in my house. Before these people moved in, I had the nicest neighbor ever. He was in a band, but he was so kind and thoughtful that he never had his band play music here because the walls are so thin. Like, common decency. He had it. And before I'd realized how thin the walls were, after I'd moved in, me and him became friends. And I remember he sent me a text once. Maybe I can find it and put it in this video. But he was so nice that he texted me one day and said, "Hey, I love to hear you singing. It's really beautiful." Meaning he could hear me singing in my house like throughout the day sometimes, and he liked it. He enjoyed it. So I went from having that type of neighbor to the absolute worst possible neighbors ever. For me especially. So I can't wait to just not deal with it anymore and start progressing again and dancing again and being my full self again and starting to heal properly, where I'm not going to my therapy appointments and then having to come back home terrified to be at home, despite just having an intense therapy treatment that's drugs, like has drugs, you know, where I just had an intense ketamine therapy treatment, which is a psychoactive drug that puts you in a state of pure bliss and calm, but yet seriously, right after when she was about to take me home, instead of still feeling good, I immediately would start panicking because I would get in the car with her and she'd start driving me home and I would freak out because I'm going back home into an environment where I don't feel safe. I don't even feel safe sleeping in my bed anymore, you guys. For proof, look at my bed. Do you see any blankets on there? There's a blanket where my cat is, but that's only for my cat. That pillow is the pillow I usually have behind me where I'm sitting. I literally not felt comfortable sleeping in my own bed because these people make sure to slam things right below my bed every single night until like 2 a.m. And then I have to work at 6 a.m. Like, there's so many details to this that have just ruined my mental state, deprived me of sleep also, and gaslit me. Like, I have proof of their noise now, and my landlord still won't listen. So, yes, problems, solutions. I'm getting better by learning more about myself, which is very interesting, right? Feel your pain, feel your sadness. That's one thing my spiritual healer taught me, actually. Allow yourself to feel sadness because it is an ancient teacher. It is very important to allow yourself to feel your feelings, because then you learn from them. You learn what you want and don't want. You learn what you want to do and what you don't want to do again. You learn about yourself. And instead of suppressing things, which always inevitably makes things worse, especially mental illness. So, sorry I was so emotional in that video. I think I'm going to read more of this, so maybe I'll be still pretty emotional, but I'm slowly starting to feel better again and seeing more clearly, and that I just need to get out of the situation. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please check out my other videos. If you haven't seen the videos where I'm speaking about this book and reading it, it's very interesting, very educational. I read about Vietnam veterans in this book, and about how veterans have very similar PTSD symptoms to child abuse victims who end up with CPTSD, which is what I have. So there's like firsthand experiences from Vietnam veterans in here, and it's super interesting. I highly recommend watching those videos. It's 4:20, and I know I look like I'm just stoned as hell at work. I'm not. I woke up this morning and had started my period, like, really bad. Like, I don't know, my whole body, like, went faint, and, like, it was really intense. All that aside, I went and looked at a place the other day, and I really liked it, and I put in an application for it, and the guy didn't respond to me for a full day, and then I decided to text him this morning and say, hey, like, I didn't know how to say this, but I need to move. My neighbors have been harassing me. And he responded saying that he processed another application before mine. So I rode my bike kind of far, took my dog, got super excited about the place. It was less than I'm paying right now. It was really nice. It was going to be perfect for me. And now I don't know what the fuck to do, because I just want to move. Like, I can't improve while I'm still living here. I'm fucking sleeping on my couch. Like, my body is fucking killing me. I'm just so exhausted all the time. I'm so irritated all the time. I fucking hate this so much. Like, my other neighbor has started to hate me because she, like, doesn't believe any of this is even happening anymore. I've recorded them for hours and gotten proof of them. And my landlords don't care. Like, I just want to sleep. Me wanting to get sleep aside, this neighbor stomped his shoes outside every one of my windows as hard as he could after I told him it triggered me. And he only was doing it in front of my door at that time when I told him it scared me. So what made him then go around the entire unit? Like, this man purposefully scared the fuck out of me for months. I cannot live here anymore. That place was so perfect for me. Like, I just got the text from the guy and I couldn't stop crying. I really liked that place, and it was like so much less money. Fuck. It is hours later and I can't stop crying still and having like massive panic attacks, because I don't understand why people have so much fun bullying me, and I don't know why it's affected me this much. But I do know that I can't handle it anymore, and I need to get the hell away from anybody who treats me badly, because I can't fucking handle it. I genuinely just can't handle it. Okay. It is 2 days later since the last clips that you saw me. I figured I'd just film at work since, like, I feel more comfortable here, honestly. Things have come to fruition, sort of. May have found a place to stay, this old lady's house. I haven't checked it out yet though, but I should be able to after this weekend. It's Saturday, so we'll see. But yeah, she should be bringing me a key, and then I'll go see if it's like okay, and then I'll bring my animals there and start moving all my stuff. And then I'll be able to stay with her until I find a place. But I'm like, I still haven't gotten out of my lease, and it's the weekend, so I have to wait until next week. So I'm stressing about getting out of my lease, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. My dad is helping like stick up for me and talk for me, because I barely know how to talk at this point about any of this. And I'm so stressed. And I got like so hopeful about getting out of there when I thought I was gonna have that new place, and that's why I like really crashed when I wasn't able to get it. And yeah, I'm very aware that like I go through a lot of ups and downs. That's obvious. That's what CPTSD does. And I'm not in a good place right now. I need to feel safe in order to not be this way. Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm not like this all the time. And it sucks to feel like I'm affecting the people around me. I hate it so much. Like, I can see it like coming off on my manager. My poor, sweet little manager guy. I just feel terrible. And I'm stressing about quite a lot of other things as well. And moving is like probably the hardest thing I could do on myself right now, but I need to do it. Like, it's honestly is a positive thing for me to think about moving. That's like the most positive thing that I'm not stressing about, is the moving part. I have plenty of customers who've offered their help with trucks that are really nice and aren't just like hitting on me, which is great. And I should be fine as long as this lady's house is habitable. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be though. It's an apartment she's emptied out right now. And I talked to her on the phone. She's a really nice lady, so it should work out. I'm also worrying about my plants. I have a million plants that I plan to sell, that I've worked hard on bringing to life all on my own. And then she said that she's only gonna be gone until mid-May, which means I have to be out in mid-May, which means I have to really try to look for a place. And I am not in the state financially to move like instantly. If I were able to find another place to stay after I stay at her place for like a couple more months or something, then I would definitely be able to have saved up enough money to move into a place. But right now, unfortunately, I'm paycheck to paycheck, and I have enough money to pay my rent at this place, and then I barely have enough afterwards. So it's been a struggle, because the rent that I'm paying is really really expensive, even though the place is basically inhabitable at this point, and I feel incredibly unsafe there. So it feels like I'm paying money to be in prison. A lot of money. All of my money. So that's another reason why I was so crushed when I didn't get that new place, because it was a lot less money, and it was so much more comfortable, and I would have loved to have it. So hopefully I can find a place like that again. But I decided that since it's been so hard for me to ask for help, or even know how to ask for help, or even speak clearly about any of this for so long, I figured that I would make a GoFundMe in case anybody is willing to help. Just $1 or $2 would help. Literally, I am not joking, literally a few dollars would help. I mostly am worried about having extra money for food for my pets. I keep messing up my words because it's literally so weird for me to ask for help, but I didn't even know what type of goal to set when I set up the GoFundMe, because I've never done a GoFundMe before. So I set kind of a high goal. I think it was $2,500, and I'm pretty sure I've changed it since then. But it does take a lot of money to move in this state, and I am really worried about what I'm gonna do if I can't find a place after she needs me to leave from staying with her. So I might need to like find an Airbnb or something, or like end up staying in a hotel for at least a night or two. So I'm really worried about that because those are also really expensive in the state that I live in. So if you can help me at all, please. The GoFundMe is in the comments and it will be in the description. I keep getting cut off because I'm using Snapchat, because that's the only for sure way, if you've seen in my past videos, that's the only for sure way I know my microphone is gonna work. Yeah. Thank you guys. I reached out for help on Nextdoor and I got a lot of nice people, but it seems like the post is like not being shown anymore. But that is how I found this lady who I'm going to be able to stay with, so perhaps I'll keep getting more help from there. The people in this town that I live in are really, really kind, so I also had like a bully though on the post. I had a couple people be really mean to me on the post, which sucked and brought me back down really badly for like a couple days. So I just need out of here so that I'm not so dang sensitive and not okay. Like, thank you for even considering if you do. I don't know if I worded things properly even in the GoFundMe. I don't know how to talk right now. I can't stress that enough. But thank you for understanding me if you do, and giving me a chance if you do, and trusting me, because not being believed is part of the major problem that's been going on right now, and it sucks. I have been not believed so much so that I got actual video evidence of me sitting with both of my feet up and arms in view of the camera as I sound recorded these people slamming things for hours after our lease says you're allowed to make unreasonable noise. And my landlord still, I guess, I can't say they don't believe me anymore, but they definitely do not fucking care at this point, which is insane. And yeah, it's made this place unlivable for me. I cannot sleep because they make sure to slam, like, I've talked about it too much at this point, and I feel like I make no sense because people have made me feel that way for so long, and I just need out of there so that I can start to feel like a person again. So if you would like to help me, please go to the GoFundMe. Thank you so much. Have a good day, good night, good evening. Bye, guys.